No one in that penthouse had any idea that morning would be the spark that turned a life upside down. A story built on hidden pain, silent courage, and a former special operations soldier who would go to any length to protect someone who, until then, had been nothing more than part of his daily routine. But it all started with a small tremor. A tremor so subtle anyone else would have ignored it. Except him. Cole Maddox noticed the kinds of details that save lives or expose secrets. And when the young woman pouring his coffee faltered, he saw something that would change both their futures forever. A secret was about to surface. A threat was already at the door. And neither of them knew that, in just a few hours, Chicago would become the center of a story defined by resilience, extreme protection, and the spark of a high-stakes romance born on the edge between fear and courage. All because of a broken arm hidden under a long sleeve. The pale Chicago sun filtered through the oversized windows of Maddox Tower as Adeline Brooks braced her good hand on the counter, trying to catch her breath. The kitchen was immaculate, modern, organized, spotless. And she tried to be all those things too. Organized, quiet, invisible. Her arm, secured in a makeshift splint, burned with pain. Every step, every movement, every breath tugged at the fractured bone, as if someone wanted to remind her every second of the price of surviving. But she had to keep going. For her job, for her brother, for the life she still had a chance to save. Adeline tugged down the long sleeve of her uniform despite the warmth in the room. The bandage underneath was too tight, but without it the bone felt like it shifted freely, tearing her from the inside out. She bit her lip, straightened her posture, gripped the coffee pot with her right hand and told herself, "Hold it together. Please, just hold it." Firm footsteps echoed across the marble hallway. And then he appeared. Cole Maddox, CEO of Maddox Tactical Solutions and Security. Decorated former Special Operations soldier. A man who carried stories in his scars and in the look in his eyes. Stories no one dared to ask about. There was a dangerous calm to him, a quiet precision, the kind of presence that filled a room without a word. He was ruthless in negotiations, impossible to fool, and absolutely aware of everything, especially details. "Good morning, Adeline," he said, his deep voice slicing through the air. "Good morning, Mr. Maddox," she replied, trying to breathe normally. She tried to pour his coffee, tried her best, but the pain tore through her like hot steel. Her hand shook. The cup clinked against the saucer, a tiny tremor. But Cole saw it, his eyes sharpened, more focused, deeper, suddenly, dangerously attentive. "You're trembling," he noted. No hesitation. Adeline lowered her gaze. "I didn't sleep well." Cole stepped closer. His expression shifted into something cold and precise, the same look she'd seen when he discussed missions, strategy, threat assessment. A look that didn't match a simple, "didn't sleep well." "Show me your arm." She froze. I'm fine, sir. It's nothing." "Adeline." He said her name like a warning. "Show me your arm." Her hand shook. Her breath trembled too. But obeying was easier than trying to withstand those steel eyes. Slowly, she pushed her sleeve upward. The silence that followed was heavy. The kind of silence that comes before decisions that change destinies. Her arm was purple, swollen, fresh marks of violence, a painful mosaic that told an entire story without a single word. Cole inhaled slowly, like a soldier trying to cage a storm. He didn't touch her right away. First he assessed, with the clinical precision of someone who'd seen broken bones in far worse conditions. Then, with a gentleness almost at odds with his strength, he reached out and touched her skin with his fingertips. Adeline gasped, not from pain, but from the gesture. There was something there, something beyond concern, something she couldn't name, but it tightened her chest in a strange, warm way. "That wasn't an accident," Cole murmured. She swallowed hard. The words jammed in her throat. The Iron Serpents, her brother, the threat. Cole tilted her chin up with 2 fingers, forcing her to meet his gaze. Who did this to you? Her eyes filled with silent tears. If I tell you, they'll kill my brother, sir, she whispered. Something shifted in Cole's expression. The calm vanished. In its place came a silent promise, a vow of extreme protection, the kind that only appears in the most gripping romantic suspense stories. Where is he? Cole asked. They don't say. They just send messages. They make me show up. And they beat me, sir, to make me pay his debt. Cole closed his eyes for a moment, as if reigning in fury he'd learned long ago to control. When he opened them, a decision had already been made. Unshakable. Adeline, look at me, she did. I'm going to get your brother back, and no one, absolutely no one, is laying a hand on you again. Her voice cracked. You don't understand who you're up against. Iron Serpents, he said, stunning her. I understand perfectly. Adeline paled. How? Cole stepped even closer, not in a way that threatened, but in the way a protector moves when the situation shifts. The kind of closeness that makes any romantic suspense audience feel that unmistakable twist in the stomach. Because I recognize the pattern. The violence, the control, the fear. He lifted his chin slightly, speaking with the steady resolve of someone who'd led soldiers to the edge and brought them home. Adeline, I know exactly what I'm dealing with. And you're not alone anymore. Before she could respond, Cole grabbed his phone, dialed a number, and said 4 words. Black code. My place. The way he said it, it wasn't a request. It was a military command. Adeline didn't know exactly what it meant, but she knew one thing. Her life had just changed. Forever. Cole still held the phone to his ear when Adeline sensed the shift around them. Maddox Tower was always quiet, but now, something pulsed in the air. A new energy, dense, alert. The kind of tension that precedes real missions. He hung up and kept his gaze locked on hers. They hurt you, he stated. Not a question. And they're threatening your brother to keep you under control. He crossed his arms, steady and unyielding. That ends today. Adeline swallowed hard. Mr. Maddox, please. I never wanted you involved in this. They're dangerous. The Iron Serpents. But I'm more dangerous, he cut in. The way he said it wasn't boastful. It was factual. It should have reassured her. But instead it sent a tremor through her. Because it wasn't just strength. It was something deeper. A resolve forged in places she didn't understand, but felt like a silent vow. Cole stepped forward slowly, as if mindful not to startle her. Adeline, I've seen a lot in my life, he said, voice softer now. I know when someone's been fighting alone for far too long. She looked away, tears rising. She hadn't cried in front of anyone in weeks. Couldn't. Weakness only gave the Iron Serpents more reason to hurt Ryan. I'm not strong, she whispered. You're the strongest woman who's ever walked into this house, Cole replied instantly without hesitation. Even broken, even scared. The words struck something deep inside her. But before she could respond, the hallway door slid open, revealing 2 tall men dressed head to toe in black. Discreet tactical gear, military posture. Cole's team. The first, dark hair, sharp eyes, spoke with calm efficiency. Boss, we got your code. What's the situation? Cole answered without looking away from Adeline. Immediate protection operation. Critical level. Then he added, It's about her. The men exchanged looks. Not surprise, but alert readiness. The kind of reaction that comes when the most respected former officer in Chicago says critical level, which usually meant one thing: war. Mason, sweep the penthouse, the entire building, and the surrounding block. I want to confirm she wasn't followed. Yes, sir, the man replied, already moving like a shadow. Cole turned to the second operative. Reed, I need a full trace. We have to locate Ryan Brooks and extract him. Top priority. Reed nodded. Any recent contact? Adeline drew in a shaky breath. Yesterday, They sent an address different from the last one. They never use the same place twice. They do it on purpose. Cole rested his hand lightly on her shoulder. The touch was so gentle she almost questioned whether it happened, yet so intentional her entire body reacted. "You don't have to worry about that right now," he said, voice low and protective. "We're good at finding people who don't want to be found." His tone carried the calm certainty of someone used to extreme situations. But there was something else in it. Something that made her chest tighten in a dangerously warm way. Reed was nearly out the door when he asked, "And the Iron Serpents, boss?" Cole's jaw locked. His eyes hardened. "We deal with them after. First, her." A beat. And her brother. Adeline's legs nearly gave out. Cole caught the shift before she even reached for the counter. He stepped in behind her, one hand steady at her waist, supporting her carefully. The unexpected closeness sent a tremor through her, an involuntary shiver she couldn't hide. Cole felt it. He always did. For a moment that belonged only to them, their eyes locked at inches apart. The air grew thicker, warmer, more alive. He let her go slowly, keeping only the distance required. "You're safe here," he repeated, this time with a softness that seemed to break something fragile inside her. "You don't know who they are," Adeline whispered. "They hurt my brother. They hurt me. And if they find out I told someone, that someone stepped in, they'll—" Cole cut her off with a tone so firm it silenced everything inside her. "They'll have to go through me." A pause. "And no one wins when I'm forced to go back to who I used to be." That sentence. It stabbed straight down her spine. It wasn't a threat. It was a warning. Cole Maddox wasn't just a former soldier. He was the kind of man who'd seen the worst and survived what others didn't. Adeline stepped back, not out of fear, but because she felt something she shouldn't. Something dangerous and undeniable. "I didn't want you involved," she said again, voice fragile. Cole offered a faint, almost forbidden smile. Too late. Before she could fully process the words, Mason reappeared. "Boss, the penthouse is secure. No signs of entry, but—" He hesitated. "There's an unfamiliar car parked across the street. Doesn't match any residents." Adeline's heart lurched. "It's them," she whispered. Cole traded a look with Mason, a silent, strategic exchange. "Hold position," he ordered. "No one enters this building without my authorization." Adeline pressed a hand to her chest, trying to control her breathing. Cole watched her with the intensity of someone who could feel her pain as if it were physical. And in that moment, something inside her, something broken, bruised, silenced, began, for the first time in weeks, to knit back together. Like her story of survival was finally beginning. The security of the penthouse felt thin with that car lurking outside. Adeline felt pressure building in her chest, each heartbeat pounding louder than her breath. Cole noticed. He always noticed. "Sit," he instructed, guiding her with a hand at her back toward the armchair near the tall windows. The touch was firm enough to steady her, but gentle enough to send a shiver down her spine. Adeline eased herself into the chair, her injured arm throbbing. Cole kneeled in front of her, an intimate, unexpected gesture coming from a man used to commanding rooms. He took her wrist gingerly, examining the swelling, bruises, and the warped shape beneath the skin. "This isn't just a fracture," he murmured. "It's repeated trauma." She turned her face away, shame burning hotter than pain. "They wanted to break me mentally," she said, voice trembling. "They wanted me scared enough to pay my brother's debt without question." Cole lifted his gaze to her, intense and unwavering. "And did they?" Adeline pressed her lips together. "Yes." The answer tore something inside him. What flared in his eyes wasn't just anger. It was a kind of quiet agony reserved for witnessing a cruelty that cut too deep. It was the look of a man who'd seen too many people break and couldn't stand seeing it happen to her. "But they made a mistake," he said, voice low as a contained thunderstorm. "Because now you have me." The words hit her like impact. Hot, sharp, deep. Her chest tightened, not from fear, but from something she didn't want to name. Mason reappeared in the doorway. "Boss, external sweep confirms the car's been there at least 2 hours. 2 occupants, no movement, no engine start. They're waiting for something, or someone." Cole rose in one fluid military movement. The air changed around him. He was no longer just a powerful CEO in a luxury penthouse. He shifted back into what he truly was, a soldier, a strategist, a protector. "They think Adeline will leave for work like always," Cole said. "They're tracking her routine." Adeline felt ice slide through her veins. He turned toward her. "How long have they been following you?" She inhaled slowly. 2 weeks, maybe 3. Cole closed his eyes briefly, as if gathering the strength to hold back something dangerous inside him. "Mason," he ordered, "activate lockdown protocol. Elevators restricted, entrances sealed, and get Reed to update the Iron Serpents tracking. I want probable locations now." "Yes, sir." When they were alone again, Cole approached Adeline with slow, deliberate steps, as if preparing to say something he needed her to hear. He leaned closer, close enough for her to catch the faint woodsy scent of him, the scent of safety, or of a romance burning to ignite, even if neither dared admit it. "Adeline," he said softly, "you need to tell me everything now." A pause. Every detail. She hesitated, not because she didn't trust him, but because trust was something the Iron Serpents had ripped out of her in pieces. Cole saw the conflict in her eyes. Then he did something entirely unexpected. He reached out and touched her cheek lightly with his fingertips. A brief touch, but full of intent. Adeline's breath caught. "I know what it's like to be threatened," he said, voice low and honest. "And I know it feels easier to survive alone. But Adeline, let me repeat myself. You can count on me now." Her throat tightened. A stubborn tear slipped free before she could stop it. Cole brushed it away with his thumb, and the touch was so unexpectedly tender, her heart stumbled inside her chest. She spoke in a trembling whisper. "They took my brother, Cole." Her voice cracked. "They said they'd kill Ryan if I involved anyone. They beat me to make sure I believed them." That was all it took for Cole's gaze to darken in a way that changed the air in the room. It wasn't ordinary anger. It was deeper. More dangerous, more protective. "They messed with the wrong person," he said, each word sharp as a blade. "I'll find your brother. I'll bring him back. And I'll end every Iron Serpent who laid a hand on you." Adeline felt breathless, not because of the threat, but because of the man standing in front of her, because of the way he spoke, because of the way he looked at her, as if protection wasn't just a mission, it was personal. "Now tell me," Cole murmured, leaning in just close enough for the moment to feel dangerously intimate. "Where did they take you last time?" She took a slow breath, and for the first time since all of this began, she felt she could trust someone. "An abandoned warehouse off West Kinsey," she added. But they switch locations constantly. They never leave tracks." "Good," Cole replied with a low note of approval. "We specialize in tracking things that aren't supposed to leave tracks. It's what we do." That was when Reed rushed in, tablet in hand. "Boss, we've got a lead. Tracked one of the Serpents' vans from last night. Traffic cameras picked it up. Made a stop at an old building near the south side. One of their collection points." Adeline covered her mouth. "Ryan." Cole straightened his tactical jacket, shifting fully into operational mode. "We're going to find him." Reed nodded. "You want the full team?" "Yes." "A beat. And you're with me." In the middle of the efficient chaos, Cole turned to Adeline and told her something no one had ever told her. something that hit deep, the beginning of something hopeful, courageous, and life-changing. "I promise I'll bring him back to you." And she believed him. Because for the first time in a long while, she didn't feel like she was inside a tragedy. She felt like she was at the beginning of something greater, maybe even the start of a romance that could change everything. Cole's tactical team moved like a single living organism, silent, sharp, efficient. Their movements had a choreographed precision, the kind born from years of training together, from communication that didn't require words. Adeline watched from the corner of the room, heart pounding. She never imagined her nightmare would bring this: protection, strategy, people who actually knew how to confront real danger. And Cole Maddox at the center of it all, fully in command, dressed in a dark tactical jacket, holster strapped to his belt, eyes like steel. He looked like a different man, not the polished CEO, not the quiet boss, the soldier, the leader, the man who cuts through darkness to save someone. And the way he kept glancing at her while issuing orders, as if something in him had shifted the moment he saw her broken arm, made her stomach tighten in a dangerously familiar way. The kind of way that defined every intense romantic suspense story built on inevitable connection. "We need to take care of your arm," Cole said, stepping toward her, already balancing the entire operation in his head. "Before we leave, you're seeing Dr. Lane. He's on his way." She opened her mouth to protest. "That's not the priority right now. Ryan is—" "You are the priority," Cole cut in, firm but with a softness that seemed to move straight through her chest. "You're not staying in this pain while I can do something about it." He held out his hand to take hers, and for a second, Adeline hesitated. She wasn't used to being touched gently, not after everything she'd endured. But when his hand closed around hers, she felt warmth, steadiness, an anchor. Cole lifted her fingers slowly, as if afraid of hurting her. His touch was far too gentle for a man built like him, yet strong enough to make her heart stumble. "Trust me," he said quietly. "That's all." Adeline inhaled shakily. Dr. Lane arrived a few minutes later, carrying a medical case that looked more like a precision toolkit. He examined her arm with professional care, but the concern in his eyes revealed the truth. "This needs proper immobilization," he said. "Immediately." "Do whatever's necessary," Cole answered before she could. Adeline looked down, embarrassed. "Is it really that bad?" Dr. Lane exhaled. "Adeline, you've been walking around for days with a double fracture. Not only is it serious, it's shocking." Her face flushed as she lowered her head. Cole, moved by the situation, crouched beside her while the doctor prepared the materials. "Hey," he said softly. "Look at me." She lifted her gaze, hesitant. "There's no shame in surviving. You did what you had to with what you had. The fault isn't yours. It was never yours." Her breath hitched. Before she realized it, Cole's hand brushed the side of her face. Brief, almost cautious, yet full of intent. Her entire body reacted. "You're strong," he added. "Stronger than you think." Adeline blinked rapidly, fighting the emotion rising in her throat. Then Dr. Lane began to realign the bone. A cry escaped her, involuntary, sharp. Immediately, Cole took her good hand, holding it firmly. Not too tight. Just enough to say, "I'm here." His touch was heat, strength, presence. She held on to him, not just because of pain, not just because of fear, but because, for the first time, she felt like someone truly stood beside her. When the doctor finished and secured her arm in a proper splint, Adeline exhaled, exhausted. Cole brushed a loose strand of hair from her face, the gesture so natural and intimate she almost forgot to breathe. "You're set," Dr. Lane said. "She needs a hospital afterward, but for now, she's stable." Cole thanked him, shook his hand, and watched him leave. Then he turned back to Adeline. "We're bringing your brother home." The team headed toward the private elevator with precise, silent coordination, the kind seen in law enforcement ops, but smoother, sharper, more dangerous. Mason adjusted his earpiece. Reed monitored live traffic cams on his tablet. Before joining them, Cole turned to Adeline. "You stay here," he said as the elevator doors slid open. "Do not leave until I tell you." She tried to protest. "But, Adeline." He stepped closer, his hand closing around her shoulder, thumb grazing her collarbone in an unintentional gesture that sent heat rushing through her. "If anything happens to you, I won't forgive myself." Her heart pounded. "Why?" she whispered. Cole went silent, a single long second that felt like a cliff edge, a second full of something he wasn't ready to say yet. Then, "Because you matter." Before she could react, he leaned in and pressed a kiss to her forehead. Quick, soft, unexpected, but real. Adeline froze. So did Cole. A spark passed between them, the kind that makes breathing uneven in stories built on danger and undeniable chemistry. He stepped back, eyes still locked on hers. "Trust me," he repeated. Then he stepped into the elevator, descending straight to the garage. Minutes later, he climbed into the black SUV with Mason and Reed, ready to face the Iron Serpents. In the back seat, Reed updated him. "Location confirmed. The South Side building. Recent activity. 2 guards posted at the entrance." Mason added, "They won't know what hit them." Cole stared out the window as the city streaked by in steel and light, his mind fixed on one thought. They touched her. Now they pay. He'd always known about the Iron Serpents and the damage they caused. But now, he had the perfect reason to dismantle them piece by piece. He would avenge Adeline. The operation was about to begin. And with it, the turning point that would change everything. The SUV cut through Chicago like a shadow, fast, silent, purposeful. Cole watched the digital map on the dashboard, jaw tight, breathing steady, every muscle ready for the worst. But beneath all that, something far more dangerous and unfamiliar had begun to grow inside him. Adeline. Her image, bruised, vulnerable, still trying to stand tall, had awakened something he hadn't felt in years, something he shouldn't feel for someone he worked with, something that could be a weakness or a weapon. And Cole Maddox didn't allow weaknesses. "Boss," Reed called, eyes still locked on the screen. "We've entered the perimeter." Cole straightened instantly, focus snapping back into place. "Mason, no shots. Silent entry. I want Ryan alive." "Got it," Mason replied. "They won't even hear their own mistake." The SUV rolled to a stop 2 blocks from the building, an old warehouse with smoke-stained brick and boarded windows. The kind of place no one looked at twice. Perfect for hiding someone, perfect for hurting someone. Cole stepped out first. Cold morning wind hit his face, carrying the heavy scent of rust, old oil and dust, the blend of places where secrets were buried. He motioned with 2 fingers. Mason swept left. Reed took the right. Cole moved straight up the center, silent as a shadow trained to kill in the dark. Every step carried a promise. "I'm coming, Adeline. I'll bring your brother home. I'll bring you peace. I swear." Inside, the soft metallic click of a lock giving way echoed in the dark. Mason slipped the tool back into his pouch and nodded. Cole entered first. The interior smelled of mold and dust, stacks of boxes, rusted tools, a noisy generator thudding in the corner, and voices. 2 of them. "You think he's gonna last much longer?" "He's not supposed to last. He's supposed to learn." Cole froze. His vision narrowed, colder, deadlier. Mason saw the shift and whispered, "Maddox, wait. If you charge now..." Too late. Cole didn't charge. He simply vanished. 1 second he was beside them. The next, he was behind the 2 men. The first never saw the blow that dropped him. The second managed to reach for his gun. But Cole twisted the arm in a single lethal motion. "Where's Ryan Brooks?" Cole growled, voice so low and furious the man shook. Please, let me go. Back room. Tools room. He's there. Cole released him. The man hit the ground like a sack of concrete. Mason, Reed, lock them down. Nobody leaves. Without another word, Cole tore down the narrow hall like a contained storm. At the back of the warehouse, he found an old door. Behind it, a faint sound. A whimper. His breath tightened. His hands curled into fists. Memories tried to claw their way up. Voices begging for help. Bodies dragged across dirt, but he shoved them down. Not now. Now he had someone to save. He threw the door open. And there was Ryan. Young. Far too thin. Face bruised. One eye swollen. Wrists tied. Shaking. But alive. Ryan Brooks? Cole asked quietly. The boy looked up, barely comprehending. Yeah, that's me. Cole approached slowly, careful not to startle him. I'm Cole Maddox. You're safe now. Ryan blinked, disoriented. Adeline? She's alive? Cole knelt and cut the ropes binding his wrists. She's okay, more than okay. She's waiting for you. A beat. And no one's touching either of you again. It's over. Ryan's breath broke on a sob. They said they'd kill her. They said it was my fault, that she got hurt because of me. The pain in the boy's voice sliced straight through Cole. He rested a steady hand on Ryan's shoulder. We're getting out of here. With Ryan leaning against him, Cole moved back through the warehouse. Mason and Reed had the guards down and restrained. Take them to base, Cole ordered. Full IDs, routes, leaders. Today we start dismantling the Iron Serpents. Mason nodded. And the kid? Cole looked up at the gray Chicago sky, as if making a vow to it. I'm taking him to Adeline, personally. Back at Maddox Tower, riding the elevator up to the penthouse, Ryan's breathing turned shaky. She's gonna hate me, he whispered. I caused this. I ruined everything. Cole put a hand on his shoulder. No matter what happened, you'll have time to talk. And don't underestimate your sister. A pause. Don't underestimate how much she loves you. Ryan lowered his head. When the elevator doors opened, they stepped out. And Adeline was there, standing, waiting. Her breath caught when she saw him. Ryan! He staggered forward. Addie! She ran to him. Even with one arm immobilized, she held him with the strength of someone who nearly lost everything. Ryan broke down against her shoulder, and Adeline cried with him. Cole stood aside, watching. The scene cracked something open inside him, creating space where, for years, there had only been reinforced steel. Finally, Adeline looked up at him. A look deeper than anything she'd ever given anyone. You brought him back to me. Cole exhaled. I promised. Then something happened. Small, quiet, unexpected. Adeline stepped toward him, stopped inches away, lifted her good hand and touched his face, shy, grateful, trembling. The warmth of her palm made his entire body go rigid. Thank you, she whispered, for everything, for making me feel safe for the first time in so long. Cole wrapped his hand around hers, slowly, gently, as if her touch was something precious he didn't dare rush. You're safe, Adeline, he murmured. As long as I'm breathing, you are. Her breath shuddered. Their eyes locked. 1 second. 2. 3. And if Mason hadn't appeared in the doorway that very moment, the moment might have become something deeper, more intimate, more inevitable. But it broke. And sometimes, interruptions only kindle a growing fire. Mason entered with the expression that always signaled serious trouble. Jaw tight, shoulders locked, gaze fixed. Boss, sorry to interrupt, but you need to see this. Now. Cole straightened instantly, military composure snapping back into place. He sent Adeline one last look, a silent apology, as his hand slowly slipped from hers. But the ghost of her touch lingered. In her, and in him. Adeline held Ryan close, trying to stay steady while he trembled beside her. Cole faced Mason. What happened? The Iron Serpents know we took the kid, Mason said, and they're not happy. Cole didn't move. That stillness, that absolute controlled quiet, was more terrifying than any outburst of rage. What did they do? He asked. Mason handed him the tablet. On the screen, the security footage from the last 30 minutes cycled through. The front of Maddox's kitchen, its windows shattered. Employees running outside. A black car speeding away moments later. Another alert appeared. One of the company's security trucks vandalized. Iron Serpents graffiti sprayed across the side, and then an intercepted audio clip. Tell Maddox this is just the beginning. He messed with the wrong people. The air froze. Ryan swallowed hard, stepping back. Cole, they're coming after you because of me. Cole handed the tablet back to Mason with a slow, precise motion, the kind of intentional calm that comes right before thunder. No, they came after what's mine. His voice was low, dangerously low. Adeline looked up. And what exactly is yours? She asked. Not defensive, just shaken, her heart beating far faster than before. Cole inhaled, turning toward her. Everything I've sworn to protect. Her breath caught. Before she could react, Mason cleared his throat quietly. There's something else. They gathered in the private conference room, a reinforced space Cole only used for critical situations. Steel-layered walls, dim lighting, a wide glass table. Silent, secure. Adeline and Ryan sat together. Mason guarded the door. Reed arrived moments later, looking even more serious than usual. Cole remained standing, arms crossed, posture carved out of steel. Full report, he ordered. Reed projected data onto the holographic display. We've identified movement in 4 Serpent sectors. They're mobilizing. A lot of them. How many? Cole asked. At least 20 we can confirm. Another 10 we can't identify. Adeline pressed a hand to her chest. They're coming after us? Cole turned instantly. No. His voice was firm, steady, warm in a way that loosened something deep inside her. They're going to come for me, and I'll be ready. He paused, then added, and you'll both be protected. Ryan bit his lip. They're never going to stop, are they? Adeline squeezed his arm. We don't know that, Ryan. We can... Yes, we do, Cole cut in. Their power is intimidation. When someone pushes back harder, they retreat. He nodded toward Adeline. And she gave us the key. She blinked. Me? Reed nodded. Yes. When you mentioned how they constantly change locations, that helped us identify a pattern. It's not strategy. It's instability. Gangs that hide that much are usually under pressure. Internal fractures, Cole added. And internal weaknesses. Adeline looked at them. Still scared, still shaking, but for the first time, feeling useful, strong, part of the solution. What does that mean? Cole stepped closer, stopping beside the table. He set both hands on the glass, leaning just enough that she could feel the pull of his presence. It means they're not as organized as they pretend to be, and that gives us the upper hand. He held her gaze. Your insight gave us a lead we didn't have. It helped us hit exactly where they're unstable. Adeline felt her face warm, not from embarrassment but from something deeper, being seen. She drew a breath. So, what do we do? And that was the moment she crossed a line, the moment she stopped being a victim and stepped into the fight. Cole's eyes flickered with something like surprise, not because she asked, but because of how she asked. No tears, no trembling, no fear. He stepped closer. Now we take the Iron Serpents apart. He let the words fall between them like a vow. Solid, unshakable. Ryan gasped. You mean, arrest them? Mason gave a short, dangerous smile. Among other things, kid. But Cole kept his focus on Adeline. "First things first," he said, moving toward her slowly, as if he didn't want to overwhelm her. "You and your brother are staying here. No arguments. Full security locked down." Adeline opened her mouth. "Cole, you can't—" He lifted a finger under her chin, gently raising her face to his. The touch sent a full-body shiver through her. "I can, and I will." His voice was low, deep, warm. Dangerous in that way, only found in the most intense romances. "Because if anything happens to you—" He leaned in slightly, close enough that she felt the heat of his breath against her skin. "I won't survive it." Adeline's lips parted. Her heart slipped. Reed looked away. Mason pretended he didn't hear. Ryan stared at the floor, but no one could ignore the electricity stretching between them. Cole stepped back slowly, too controlled to be natural. "We're planning the counterattack," he told the team, his voice snapping into precision again. "And this time, there won't be threats." A pause. Only an ending. When Cole had to coordinate with another base, he did something none of them expected. He cupped Adeline's face with both hands, his thumbs brushing her skin with a tenderness that felt almost sacred. "Lock the doors when I leave," he murmured. "I'll be back before sundown. I promise." Adeline swallowed hard. "I trust you," she said. Finally. Truthfully. Cole's reaction was subtle, almost hidden, but the flicker in his eyes revealed the impact her words had. Then he leaned in, slow, intentional, unmistakably careful. He pressed a soft kiss to her cheek, a light touch, but a devastating one. Adeline went still, heart hammering. Cole lingered by her ear, voice a low rasp. "Stay safe, for me." And then he left, leaving behind his woodsy scent, a silent vow, and the exact spark where intense contemporary romances start to become something far more dangerous and meaningful. Maddox Tower felt quieter than ever. Not a comforting quiet, a tense one, the kind that comes before storms. Adeline sat on the couch, a light blanket over her legs, her immobilized arm propped on a pillow. Ryan sat beside her, sipping a hot tea Mason had made. The cup trembled in his hand. Cole had been gone just over an hour, and in that time, everything had changed. He had left a strange absence in her, a mix of worry and something else, something she didn't dare name. But it was real, very real. Ryan shifted uneasily and said, "Addie." Ryan's voice was barely above a whisper. She turned toward him. His face was pale, his eyes still red from the tears he'd been trying to hide since the rescue. "You need to rest," Adeline said. "No, I need to tell you something. Now." A cold knot formed in her stomach. His tone carried guilt, fear, regret, and truth. Slowly, she set his cup on the coffee table and took his hand, the one part of her that didn't hurt. "Tell me," she whispered. "I'm right here." Ryan inhaled, once, twice, 3 times. "I wasn't kidnapped by accident," he said, stumbling over the words. I went to them first." Adeline blinked. "What?" Ryan dragged a shaking hand through his hair and pushed forward. "Addie, I was desperate. I watched you working, sick, exhausted. I saw you sacrificing everything because of me. And I just wanted to help you." His voice broke with every sentence. The weight of weeks of terror pressed into each word. "The money from my job wasn't enough, so I went to one of those underground betting rooms, the one on Pine Avenue." He swallowed. "The one pretending to be a pool bar." Adeline let out a strangled breath. She knew that place. Everyone did. A dangerous hole the Iron Serpents owned. "I thought I could win enough to pay a few bills. Take the pressure off you," Ryan continued. "But I lost. Badly." Adeline closed her eyes. Not in anger, in pain. "When I realized what I'd done, I already owed money I'd never be able to pay," he said, voice cracking. And when I tried to walk away, they grabbed me, pulled me into a car, told me if I didn't pay, you would. She pressed a hand to her chest, breathing hard, emotional pain nearly as sharp as the physical. Ryan, they found out where you worked, Addie. They knew your hours, your routines. They followed you. His eyes filled again. They hurt you because of me, and I'll never forgive myself for that. Adeline pulled him into her with her good arm, holding him tight. He cried against her neck. I almost ruined you, he sobbed. I almost lost you. Addie, I can't forgive myself. She cupped his face, making him look at her. Ryan, you're my little brother. My only family, she said firmly. You messed up. Big time. A shaky breath. But you didn't mean to hurt me. You were trying to protect me. In the worst possible way, yes. But your heart wasn't wrong. He shook his head, crying harder. I just wanted you to be okay. To stop killing yourself with work. She gave him a sad, soft smile. I know. But now, it's our turn to accept help. His help. Ryan frowned. Maddox? Adeline felt heat bloom across her face. Hot, sudden, impossible to hide. Yes, she admitted, looking away. He's protecting us. A pause. And it feels like more than that. Like he sees us. Ryan tilted his head. You realize he likes you, right? He said with the casual bluntness only younger brothers possess. Adeline froze. Ryan! What? He insisted. Come on. He looks at you like you're the reason he breathes. And... Sorry, Addie. But I've never seen anyone look at you like that. Her heart slammed inside her chest. She opened her mouth to insist he was wrong. But nothing came out. Because he wasn't wrong. Cole Maddox looked at her like she mattered, like she was worth standing beside, like she deserved care, protection, goodness. And that idea alone made her chest tremble. Before she could speak, the security door beeped, someone using the biometric access. Mason's hand went straight to his weapon. But when the door opened, Adeline felt the air shift. It was Cole. He stepped in, powerful, intense, carrying that effortless blend of action and quiet emotion that clung to him like a second skin. Tactical jacket still dusted with sunlight, gaze sharp, and something else. Something focused on her. He saw Adeline, then Ryan, then the tears, and he moved. Fast. He dropped to one knee in front of her, as if nothing in the world mattered except what he saw in her face. Adeline, what happened? He asked, voice low, urgent. Ryan tried to answer, but Cole lifted a hand, not to silence him, but to slow him. Adeline offered a tiny, reassuring smile. It's okay, she said softly. He just told me the truth. Cole looked at Ryan, not with judgment, but with understanding. And Ryan whispered, trembling, I caused all of this. Cole inhaled slowly. Then he said something Adeline never imagined a man like him would say. No. The ones who caused this are the people who used your desperation against you. His tone cooled. And they'll pay for it. Ryan swallowed. You're going to hurt them? Cole answered with absolute calm. I'm going to stop them, kid. A beat. For good. A shiver ran through Adeline, not from fear, from the fierce, unshakable protection radiating off him. Cole turned back to her, fully, intensely, as if she were the only person in the room. He lifted his hand, brushing his thumb along her cheek, a touch full of restrained intimacy. I told you were safe with me, he murmured. And I keep my word. Her heart pounded. Ryan looked away, awkward. He stood abruptly. I need more tea. Mason joined him, leaving the room in silence. As soon as they were gone, Cole stepped closer. Then closer. The air between them grew thin. You okay? He asked quietly. She nodded. You came back, she said. And that, I know it sounds stupid, but it makes me feel better, really better. Cole's breath hitched. For a moment, he nearly said something, nearly crossed that line they'd been circling since the moment his fingers brushed her broken arm. But he caught himself. He breathed deeply. "I'm here, Adeline," he said, "and I'm going to fight for you, for both of you." Adeline smiled, a small, fragile, true smile. "I know," she whispered. "I can feel it." And Cole, for the first time in years, smiled back, a rare smile, real, and completely hers. The kind that appears in the exact chapter when fate starts shifting, when danger and desire entwine, and a romance becomes inevitable. The afternoon dragged over Chicago like a heavy curtain. Outside, wind funneled between skyscrapers, hinting at a shift, not in the weather, but in the fate of everyone involved. Adeline stared out over the city from the penthouse windows. It was strange how, even this high up, so far from the alleys where she'd been hurt, her body still reacted to the memory. But something felt different now, a presence behind her. Cole. He didn't speak when he entered. He didn't have to. The silence between them already carried too much meaning. "We're almost ready," he said eventually. His voice had that particular tone, full operational focus, edged with a quiet softness reserved only for her. Adeline turned. "Did they find where the Iron Serpents are hiding?" Cole nodded once. "Two of the spots you mentioned match recent movement patterns. They relocated too fast. They're trying to hide, which means we hit the right nerve." A strange warmth flickered in her chest. Not pride in her bravery, but in having been useful, truly useful. "And what are you going to do?" she asked. "Neutralize what's left of their leadership, clean and surgical, no noise unless necessary." Necessary carried weight, and she understood it. But she didn't feel fear this time. She felt calm. He walked toward her, closing the distance with that quiet, assured stride. He stopped close enough for her to feel his warmth. "You seem steady," he observed, a hint of surprise in his voice. "I am," she replied, "because I trust you know what you're doing." Cole held her gaze for too long to be casual. It was as if something between them was seconds from shifting. "Adeline," he started, voice low. "When this is over, Mason appeared in the doorway. "Boss, ready when you are." Whatever had been in Cole's eyes vanished, replaced by cold, focused professionalism. He nodded, then looked at Adeline one final time. No touch, no reassuring words, just a slow, steady look, filled with all the things he wasn't saying. And somehow, it meant more than anything else. He walked out, and Maddox Tower felt emptier than ever. Ryan slept in the guest room. Mason left 2 agents upstairs and went to join the operation. Adeline stayed in the main living room, or rather, alone with her own spiraling thoughts. She didn't want to admit it, but her fear had changed shape. It wasn't fear of the Iron Serpents anymore. It was fear of something happening to Cole. She'd never allowed herself to feel something this deep for anyone. Not in the world she'd lived in. Not after everything she'd endured. "Ridiculous," she muttered, giving her cheek a light tap. "He's your boss." But the word didn't fit. Not after what he'd done. Not after the way he'd done it. They had worked together for months, and nothing like this had ever happened between them. But now the thought of anything happening to him felt suffocating. She stood and walked toward the small indoor balcony, trying to clear her head. That was when she heard a sharp beep coming from the tablet Cole had left with the agents. She didn't touch it, but the screen lit up on its own, a map, and several red markers moving. She instinctively stepped back. At that exact moment, the biometric door opened, and it wasn't Cole, and it wasn't Mason. Ray, one of the agents, rushed in abruptly. "Ms. Brooks, ma'am, please come with me," he said urgently. "We need to move you away from the windows." "What happened?" she asked. Ray didn't answer. Another agent sprinted in. "Movement confirmed," he reported, breathless. A motorcycle circled the block 3 times, and there's a dark vehicle parked on the north corner, tinted windows. Adeline froze. They were being watched. Get her to the safe room, now! Cole's voice crackled through the radio. Ray swung open the reinforced door and motioned her inside, but before she stepped in, her cell phone vibrated. A message, from an unknown number. Think he can hide you forever? Her blood ran cold. Another text. We know where you are. And seconds later, tell Maddox the game isn't over. Not until we say so. Ray noticed her expression. Ms. Brooks, what happened? She held out the phone. Ray cursed and spoke into the radio. Maddox, they still have her number. Cole's voice came back instantly, sharp, controlled, and edged with something lethal. Adeline, listen to me. Delete the message. Get inside. Lock the door. The private wing, including Ryan's room, was accessible only through the safe room, so he'd be protected too. She was about to obey when a faint vibration shook the building. A muffled sound. Metal grinding against metal. Ray went pale. They're trying to breach the internal garage, he shouted. How the hell did they get that close? The radio erupted with voices. Movement confirmed. 2 armored vehicles entering the basement level. They're trying to force the service elevator. Ray shoved her toward the door. Go, inside, now! Adeline ran, but panic hit her hard. Her hands trembled. Her breath came short. That crushing feeling of being trapped returned with brutal force. She stepped inside the safe room, and the reinforced door began to slide shut. Ray remained outside. Wait, what about you? She asked, terrified. Ray gave a faint, crooked smile and drew his weapon. This is what I'm here for. Go. The door sealed. 3 heavy bolts slammed into place. A moment later, muffled gunfire, echoing through concrete, shouting, distant chaos. Adeline covered her ears and slid down the wall, knees pulled to her chest. Cole, she whispered without realizing she spoke aloud. Please, please come back. Silence followed, a terrible, ringing silence. Then the biometric lock beeped. The bolts retracted. The door slid open. Just 3 seconds, but it felt like 10 lifetimes. Adeline? His voice. She scrambled to her feet and ran. When the door finally parted, Cole stood there, dust-covered, sweaty, breathing hard, weapon still in hand, tactical jacket scraped with metal residue. Alive. His eyes found hers, and Adeline didn't hesitate. She rushed into him, fast, desperate, grabbing his jacket with her good hand, pressing her forehead to his chest. Relief crashed through her so sharply it nearly broke her. Cole wrapped his arms around her immediately. Strong, possessive, with a feeling he'd never admit aloud, but couldn't hide. He held her as if she were the one thing in the world he refused to lose. His scent, the solid weight of his arms around her, the undeniable sense of being exactly where she belonged. It all made Adeline tremble. You're safe, he murmured against the top of her head, pressing a slow kiss there. It's over. You're okay. She didn't answer. She just gripped his jacket even tighter. He bent slightly. He was so much taller, and pressed his forehead to hers. I should have gotten back sooner, he whispered, voice rough. She lifted her face slowly. His eyes were burning. No rush, no hesitation, nothing held back. And then Cole did what, until now, had existed only in sparks between them. He leaned in and touched his mouth to hers. A slow kiss, deep, charged with everything they had never said. A kiss that gave her back a part of herself, and silenced every last trace of fear. They parted gradually, as if neither of them knew where fear ended and feeling began. Cole kept his forehead against hers, their breaths mingling, before he finally leaned back enough to see her clearly. I needed to do that, he said, low, steady, unguarded. And I needed you to, Adeline whispered. They lingered there, unmoving, as if the world outside wasn't violent and loud and falling apart. Then Cole's radio crackled. "Boss, the building is secure. Hostiles detained and disarmed. One injury. No civilians hit. Just structural damage." He exhaled slowly. The perfect moment was over. The war wasn't. Night fell over Chicago like a steel veil. Down in the building's lower levels, the tactical team prepared for the final strike. Cole stood at the center, posture straight, eyes sharp, resolve unshakable. Mason and Reed mapped routes and intercept points on the digital table. Adeline watched from afar. Her fingers brushed her lips, confirming the kiss had actually happened. "You should be resting," Cole said, approaching with too much control, as if trying to hide something that couldn't be hidden anymore. "I can't," she admitted. Not without knowing you'll come back." Cole cupped her face with both hands. Slow, fearless. "I will. And when I do, we're going to talk about what started here." The promise hung between them, warm, inevitable. He left. The operation was fast, precise, unforgiving. The Iron Serpents had gathered in an abandoned warehouse on the city's edge, believing they'd scared Maddox's security enough to retreat. But Cole and his team arrived before dawn, sharp as blades, quiet as shadows, determined like men who refused to lose twice. In under 20 minutes, their leader was captured, their financial network exposed, documents and evidence seized. The gang dismantled. No unnecessary deaths, no chaos, no mistakes. It was over. And Cole Maddox did it with the precision of a man fighting for something, or someone who suddenly meant everything. When sunrise hit the city, the penthouse doors opened. Cole stepped inside, calm, exhausted, alive. Adeline was there in the living room, her arms supported on a pillow, eyes fixed on the door since the moment she woke. When she saw him, dusty, sweat-stained, exhausted, her knees nearly gave out, but she stood. Cole looked at her, like she was the only steady point in a world spinning too fast. He took 2 steps. She took 1. They met in the middle. There was no hesitation this time. Cole wrapped an arm carefully around her waist, mindful of her healing arm. She slid her hand up behind his neck, raising her face to his. The kiss hit hard, deep, carrying everything they had tried to hold back. When they finally broke for air, her forehead rested on his shoulder. He held her as if he could breathe again for the first time. She whispered, "Please, tell me it's really over." "For them, it is," he said. "But for us, it's just beginning." Her smile was so genuine it hurt. Time moved. Chicago shifted back into its usual rhythm. The Iron Serpents case filled headlines for days, but not a single report mentioned her or Ryan. Cole made sure of that. After enough insistence, and after realizing she truly wanted it, Adeline moved into his place. Not out of necessity, but choice. Ryan got a job at one of Maddox's securities units and committed to therapy. One evening, while Cole reviewed reports on the couch and Adeline organized her college notes, yes, she returned to school, she glanced at the thin, pale scar on her arm. It was a reminder of everything she'd lived through. Cole noticed her look and sat beside her. "Still hurt?" he asked. "No, not at all." She smiled softly. "Honestly, I think it makes me feel stronger." He traced the scar gently. "That should never have happened to you." "Maybe," she said, taking his hand. "But if it hadn't, I wouldn't have crossed paths with you. I wouldn't have learned what I'm capable of. And I wouldn't have found someone who looks at me like I matter." Cole smiled, one of those rare, intimate smiles he seemed to reserve only for her. "And you do. You're my everything. I want you in my life, in every way possible." Her heart thudded hard. "Then stay in it," she said. "With me. Here, now, every day." He kissed her forehead. Then I'm staying. Time passed. Life rebuilt itself. Ryan stayed clean, stable, free of the debts and shadows that once crushed him. Adeline finished her degree and became a coordinator for community programs tied to Maddox security. Cole expanded the company with a new focus on preventative safety, outreach work, and projects supporting vulnerable youth. They grew, they healed, they built something real. And one quiet afternoon, while they walked through the garden on Cole's property, he stopped beneath a tall oak, the exact place she'd once said was her favorite. He sank to one knee, slow, steady, with the clearest look she'd ever seen in his eyes. Adeline Brooks, the day you walked into my life, you showed me I wasn't just protecting the world. A beat. I was waiting for you. He opened the ring box. So, will you marry me? Her tears came instantly. Yes. Her voice wavered. Yes. 1,000 times yes. He lifted her, spun her carefully, mindful of her still sensitive arm, and kissed her while she held his face like she was holding her own future. Adeline never hid behind long sleeves again, never flinched, never lived small. She became Adeline Maddox, partner, protector, a woman who faced her fear and found love in the middle of chaos. And every time she looked at the scar on her arm, she smiled, not remembering the pain, but the strength that was born from it. And if Cole and Adeline's journey touched you, there are more worlds, more emotions, more stories waiting here on this channel. If you're ready to dive into them, hit subscribe so you don't miss a thing. And don't miss our next video. The hidden, ruthless world behind the political life of a widowed senator. A man trying to survive an untamable daughter, and the teacher who ends up healing the entire house, including him.